are back on Midday Super Talk, Mississippi. Once again, we are in Cleveland, Mississippi, in the heart of the Mississippi Delta. We are perched above the downtown area. Beautiful setting, really neat downtown here in Cleveland, Mississippi. We're here for the Cleveland 50 Nights of Lights and have enjoyed hosting the show here and visiting with so many of the great folks here in the city of Cleveland. Speaking of which, now we've got Sean Johnson, the director of Visit Cleveland. Sean, thanks for coming on Middays.
Sure, thank you. Glad to be here.
So 50 Nights of Lights, whose creation was that? Who came up with that idea? 6 years, my understanding, it's been going on.
I've been here 1 year, so
okay.
I can't give you the full story. But
you just inherited it, huh?
That's right. What I do know about it is Becky, of course, the mayor's wife, was very instrumental with it, and the families in town. I think the Janouche, I can't say the name. Anyway, a family.
Okay.
They started the tree, and
which
I think
is beautiful, by the way.
Yeah, it's a big tree, and what is that? About 3 stories?
I don't know. It's pretty tall, though. Look how it looks on our background. Isn't that cool?
It is. It's really nice. And then it kind of went from there. One of the things that amazed me about 50 Nights of Lights, I've worked with several cities, and an undertaking like this would be really a difficult thing for a city to invest in by itself. But everything here is donated by individuals and families and people with connections to Cleveland.
Okay.
And so what the city does is it maintains them and it stores them.
Okay.
And then every year they get more and more people donating, and these things are not cheap.
No, not at all.
So that's kind of what blew me away. The first time I had heard about 50 Nights of Lights, I was working in Houston, Mississippi, and one of my board members came up and asked me if I knew about it. This was a couple of years ago, and I said, no, I hadn't heard about it, and he told me about it, and so we should try and do that here. And now that I understand how they do it, I know that it would be very difficult for a lot of towns to do this. And it's just one of the many ways I think that Cleveland really punches above its weight.
I'm really glad you pointed that out. I mean, that's good to know because it's even more special in my view when it's kind of a joint effort by the private sector and the public sector in this case to really make something good happen.
Oh, absolutely. And there's a lot of authenticity that comes with that. I know some of these displays, these lights displays, have stories behind them. Like we've got one of a cat playing under a Christmas tree, and that was because a widow and her husband had a cat, and she did it in honor of her husband who loved the cat.
I'll be darned.
And so you've got these beautiful stories all along here. There's a basketball player who did very well at Delta State, and so the basketball thing came from him. So all these stories.
Well, isn't that so Delta-like, though, when you think about it?
Yeah.
Because, again, such a rich history that's been carried on and preserved through the ages, and so much of the culture really still rooted in much of that history, certainly in the music and in the arts in general. And that just makes total sense. So tell us exactly what you do as the director of Visit Cleveland, Sean. What does that role entail?
Well, it's promoting Cleveland, promoting Cleveland to visitors, and the way I like to look at it is also just a great place to live. Every visitor, in my mind, is a potential resident, and as you're aware, the Delta has lost a lot of population over the past few decades, and I think that, I just came from, I drove in from Louisville, Kentucky, not a big city, last night, but just spending the time in that traffic, I was so thankful of where I lived, and Cleveland's just in this little Goldilocks space where it's small enough that you don't have to deal with the problems of a big city, and yet with the good government here and Delta State and some forward-thinking folks who live here, you get a lot of benefits of bigger cities. Like we have the Bologna Center for the Performing Arts. And, you see first Broadway shows. We've got the $1 Million Quartet Christmas coming this weekend. And I remember when I first got here, I saw Dionne Warwick and, things that I would never see in a town of 10,000 people and anywhere else that I could think of in Mississippi. And, heck, Cleveland's got 53 pieces of sculpture around town. More sculpture than I think any other city of any size. in the state of Mississippi, probably of any city of this size anywhere.
Yeah.
And that just shows a lot too. I mean, when I came and looked at Cleveland before I took the job, I noticed the sculpture, and I noticed that there were 3 frame shops in town, and I thought, well, people like original art here. So, you know, it's a different, a different place. It tells you something about what people appreciate, and through that you can kind of figure out what to expect from a town, and I've not been disappointed. So to answer your question, my job is to try and convey that
Gotcha.
to everybody, whether they're coming for a weekend or looking for a place to retire or whatnot, that Cleveland should be on their list of considerations.
Makes sense. So you're really, I think the advantage the town has is you're blending the small town amenities and atmosphere and the lack of congestion and smog and traffic and the hassles associated with that. But you've also offer many of the cultural amenities and other attractions that are typically only found in the much bigger cities.
That's right. There's a really good quality of life here. And, you know, prior to coming to Cleveland, I hadn't been here. And so it was a complete surprise to me. And one of the things that excited me about this position was I'm going to get to share this with everybody because the surprise I got and the joy that I got from, I stayed at the Cotton House and I walked around downtown and I walked from my hotel to the restaurant, and it was just a beautiful, friendly place. And I thought, I'm going to get to share this with everybody, and I get a lot of joy out of that. And so I was really excited about the position, and I think it was a good decision to come here.
Now, do you have a staff that works with you as well?
Well, I work within the chamber, so
Okay.
we all kind of work together.
I got you.
Like there's a chamber, the controller takes care of a lot of stuff.
Sure.
But as far as me, no, it's just pretty much me. Of
Sure.
course now, I do design. I do a lot of stuff in house. So
Okay.
yeah.
So, do you have folks that have come that you've personally run into that have come from outside of the country that have come to Cleveland?
Oh yeah. Run to
What
them.
brings them here?
They read about things. They read about Cleveland. Of course, Grammy Museum is a big
Sure.
draw. Dockery, for people who know about the blues and the origins of blues music, Dockery is a must-stop for them. Recently, we've had some good press about, this is in Rosedale, but I consider that kind of part of Cleveland, or greater Cleveland, if you will. But the White Front Cafe, people are getting turned on to her tamales over there. They're fantastic tamales if you like Delta tamales, and it's just such an experience to go there. And we've been able to see that when we get that written about, people talk about it. I go over and visit with her, and she tells me we've had people from all over.
Incredible.
Germans, Germany.
Wow.
Lots of Germans come. We've had Italians, some French people. I just got back from a conference, the Travel South International Showcase, where we, in America, we generally, when we travel, we plan our own trips. But in Europe, people often go to an agency or a travel planner. So we met with 36 travel planners over the last 2 days and talked to them about Cleveland and told them about Dockery and the Cleveland kind of being in the epicenter of where the blues got started. And then, of course, our downtown. One of the things that we've started in the last couple of years is we've got a live music 5 nights a week here. So they love that. And I think that those relationships that we're building with these international travel planners are really going to start to pay out over the next couple of years.
Yeah. So, have you ever run into any individuals, groups that come here and maybe their perception was different than it was when they left, and they were somewhat shocked when they got here and found this wasn't what I was expecting, in a positive way, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for me, it was not the Delta that I expected. When I was told about the job, the first thing they said was in the Delta, and I said, I'm really not.
And where'd you come from?
I was working in Houston, Mississippi.
Okay.
And prior to this.
I got you.
But my when I moved back to Mississippi, I started in tourism in Tupelo and then New Albany, and then was doing economic development work in Houston.
I see.
And came over here, and then of course when I came over, a lot of people I knew from that part of the state started coming over, and they've all been blown away.
It's something. That's great.
With how it is. So.
Sean, appreciate you coming on Middays, and congratulations on all the success here. Obviously, you guys are doing a good job getting the word out and promoting the city of Cleveland. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Sean Johnson, Director of Visit Cleveland, has been our guest here.